Laura Melroy says sea stars are super cool.
They move with water pressure, and they don't have a brain, they have a central nerve disc. They regenerate arms. Like, that's something that we can't do.
Besides being totally cool, sea stars can also give us hints about what climate change is doing to their homes in the rocky intertidal. As voracious predators, sea stars are responsible for the biodiversity in their ecosystems. They feed on the baby mussels, barnacles, and worms and keep them from taking over the habitat.
They're considered this keystone species because when they're knocked out, when they're not present, the mussel beds just grow huge, so they keep them contained.
Sarah Cohen, a professor of biology at San Francisco State University and Melroy's advisor, is out on Mile Rock Beach in the Marin Headlands. She's looking for a sea star species called Leptosterias. They are tiny sea stars with 6 arms, and they are special to the bay.
The babies hatch out and they just walk ever so slightly away. They might, I don't know, they can move a little bit, but they're not going to get all the way over to the other side of the beach even. And so they're going to represent the environment here and adapt to it, hopefully.
Stuck close to home, the Leptosterias are local environmental sentinels. They can sound the alarm when the ecosystem starts to change, but scientists need to know what the alarm will look like.
There's kind of 4 options. They can acclimate, they can adapt, they can move, or they can die. So understanding how species can react to what we're doing to our environment, to their environment, is really important.
Melroy stumbled on a possible answer while building a map of Leptosterias through time. Originally, she wanted to know how the abundance and range of the little guys have changed, but you can't tell Leptosterias apart by just looking at them. Melroy had to dig deeper and look at their DNA. But how can you go back in time and look at DNA from the past?
In a nutshell, our collections are really a library of specimens which help us to document the past by looking at snapshots of the past, looking at organisms that lived in a particular time in a particular place, and putting all of these snapshots together, we're able to make a better picture of what actually biodiversity is like across time scales and across geographic scales as well.
The California Academy of Sciences has about 15 million specimens collected over more than a century, and the scientists of today use them to travel back in time. From the museum, the lab, and her own sampling, Melroy had about 20 groups of Leptosterias that were collected up and down the West Coast between 1897 and 2014.
There are a number of tube feet along each arm, quite a large number of tube feet along each arm. So Laura was able to sample small tube feet from the underside of the little ridge underneath the arm of the sea star.
Checking out the DNA, Melroy has found at least 2 instances of sea stars that used to be found in the south but are now only found in the north.
We're getting more and more evidence that these things, instead of being local adaptation, speciation around the bay, it seems that they are shifting their ranges north, which is a big thing in the climate change world that we have today.
Melroy still has other tube feet to analyze, but her map has taken on new meaning in the past year. An epidemic called wasting disease has wiped out sea star populations along the west coast. Cohen found only 4 Leptosterias at Mile Rock Beach, where normally there are around 10 to 20 on each rock.
I emailed Laura last night and I said, wow, if we have any live of this clade of stars, the species of stars left in the wet lab, they are becoming very important. And we don't have any more of them in the wet lab, actually.
With Melroy's DNA census of Leptosterias along the coast, she can calculate their rate of genetic mutation. How fast can these sea stars adapt to new conditions? It's a question that scientists want to answer for all organisms in the face of climate change.
There's so little known about so many organisms and so many important questions, and time is so short to work on climate change issues that I think students and professors are really empowered to try and address it.
Sea stars are the stewards of the rocky intertidal. By knowing when and where they are sounding the alarm, scientists can protect not only them, but the diversity of that whole ecosystem.